Hello, dear listeners. Tonight, I'm going to tell you my story. Maybe you knew me as that strong, charismatic news anchor on screen. But sometimes, no matter how shiny a person's life looks from the outside, a silent storm can rage within. My storm began with the shadow of a decision I made years ago, one I believed was right. That shadow slowly crept into my life, touched my family, reached out to my loved ones, and suddenly, I found myself not in a game of justice, but in a cruel game of revenge. This is the story of a battle I fought as a mother, a wife, and a professional. So, in this game, who will win and who will lose? Or, more importantly, what will be left when this war ends? Are you ready to join me on this journey? There are a few names you'll need to remember in this story. I'm Emilia Castillo, a woman who seems to have it all, yet carries deep emptiness inside. My husband, Eduardo, is not only one of the top executives in our media group, but also a charismatic man grappling with a midlife crisis. Our son, Danny, is a bright young man deeply immersed in the world of technology, with a sensitive soul. And then came the name that changed everything. Camila Suarez, a young woman who captivated us with her innocence, seemed fragile on the outside, but hid a deep and calculated agenda in her eyes. At the crossroads where these four lives collide, that's where the shadows begin to dance. When the lights went out, that flawless Emilia Castillo on the screen would vanish. What was left behind was just a tired woman, a mother stepping into a luxurious house that somehow always felt hollow inside. The intimacy between Eduardo and me, the passion we once shared, had long since faded. Our conversations had been reduced to school updates about Danny or emails from work. What used to be a stormy, all-consuming love had grown cold, slowly swallowed by routine and silence. And yet, once upon a time, oh, how different things were. That emptiness, like an invisible wound, was eating away at me a little more each day. And then, one evening, that's when it all began. Danny brought Camila Suarez into our lives. I remember her as the young woman he introduced to us for the first time. She was breathtaking, like a character from a fairy tale. Her hair seemed to dance in the breeze, and her eyes sparkled like a hidden spring. At first glance, she was all innocence, delicate, graceful, gentle, and in that moment, I felt a flicker of hope stir inside me, the kind only a mother knows. Danny's eyes were glowing in a way I had never seen before. My son, who used to shut himself away in his room, glued to his screen, was suddenly transformed. He started going out, meeting friends, even working out. His joy, his change, it lit something up in me. For the first time in a long while, I smiled genuinely, fully. Even Eduardo was drawn to Camila's fresh, youthful energy. It was impossible not to notice. She felt like a gift, a lucky twist of fate for our family. And maybe that's why I ignored what my instincts tried to whisper. But that one moment, when our eyes met just for a second, I saw something cold, something buried deep behind that sweet smile. A shadow lurking behind innocence, a calculation, a wound from the past, a quiet fire of revenge. My subconscious screamed, but my heart was blindfolded by my son's happiness. Deep down, I felt it something had begun, but I had no idea what it would cost us. The grand halls of the Castillo estate, the sunlit garden, the warmth of our home, all of it slowly became Camila's stage. With every smile, with every step, She seeped into our world like a soft breeze, sweet on the surface, yet carrying a storm. Camila started spending weekends at the Castillo home, quickly adapting to the family. She was so masterful in her strategy that she managed to charm everyone in the house, especially me. Her interest in Danny seemed genuine. She spent time with him, even helping him with his studies. I used to think nothing could escape my notice, but Camila's cleverness surprised even me. I'd later realize, with bitter regret, that she was secretly observing Eduardo, learning his habits, hobbies, and even his childhood favorites. My maternal love and my son's happiness had veiled my eyes. As I saw Camila's positive influence on Danny, my trust in her grew. I looked at her as a stroke of luck for Danny. But then, the little details, tiny, seemingly insignificant details, Camila making Eduardo's childhood recipes, ones no one else knew, playing Eduardo's favorite Latin classical music. It was as if she'd lived with us for years. She knew all those details. At first, I interpreted these as innocent signs of youth and interest. But inside me, that small voice kept whispering, "Be careful, Emmy. Be careful." One morning, as I was getting ready for work, as usual, Camila came up to me. She had an innocent smile on her face. "Danny's a bit tired," she said. "I'll take care of him. I'll stay home today." In those moments, the contentment on Eduardo's face. For an instant, shadows began to lengthen. That sunny home was slowly growing darker. The unease that started to surface inside me was no longer just a voice. It was growing like a shadow. Eduardo seemed to enjoy Camila's attention, her youthful and dynamic energy. He was either unaware of my growing suspicions, or he simply didn't want to be. And I felt those shadows closing in on me, getting a little closer with every step. A treacherous enemy was growing inside that house, and I, as a mother, was making excuses for it, all for my son's happiness. What a huge mistake. My world, my pen, my platform, the sleek, modern offices of Grupo Horizonte. Throughout my career, I'd always trusted my professional instincts. Those instincts had never failed me. I was in media. I'd learned to read people's intentions. Until Camila. One morning, as I was entering the channel as usual, I saw Camila on the ground floor. She was in a formal outfit, carrying a briefcase. She approached me with her usual innocent smile. She said she was meeting with the media archives unit for a university project. A project related to media content, she said. But she'd told me she wasn't interested in media. I thought she was studying child development, working in that field. So what was this now? That little spark of suspicion within me instantly flared into a fire. Why had she lied? This was the first contradiction, but my mind still tried to wrap her in a cloak of innocence.
Hi, Emmy. I was going to meet with the Media Archives unit for my university project, a project related to media content.
A few days later, a security guard came up to me, shrugging. "Ma'am, that young lady, Ms. Camila, I saw her going up with Mr. Eduardo yesterday. She was on his floor," he said. That was it. The storm inside me began. Eduardo's floor. The digital department. Camila had told me she wasn't interested in media. What was she doing in Eduardo's department now? Eduardo, at breakfast, told me Camila had been hired as an intern in the digital department, so casually. It was as if everything was perfectly normal. There wasn't the slightest hint of discomfort on his face. In fact, there was even a faint hint of pride. He was either unaware of the suspicions stirring within me, or he simply didn't want to be. That's when I realized Camila wasn't just infiltrating our home. She was invading my professional life too. That innocent-looking young woman had now entered my domain, my world. Suspicion was turning into a brutal reality. The coldness of the glass offices at the channel, The shadows of the security cameras now fed my paranoia. This environment, which symbolized my power in my career, had now become a nest of insidious threat.
Emmy, by the way. Camila started as an intern in the digital department. She's a smart girl. She'll be an asset to us.
That lounge, inside the channel, was a place furnished with dim lights and comfortable armchairs, where the soft strains of Latin jazz drifted from a corner. It was once my sanctuary, but now it had become a silent stage of betrayal. Camila had cornered Eduardo there, alone. She approached him with 2 coffees in her hand, her white, slightly sheer blouse clinging to her body and her tight skirt making her seem like an invitation. As she spoke to Eduardo, she lightly touched his tie, her voice provocative.
That tie gives you a dangerous, not a serious vibe. But I think sometimes you should just let go, Eduardo.
A tiny touch. I didn't know then how much of a turning point that moment would be. Eduardo had initially tried to pull away. I was sure of it. But the devilish sparkle in Camila's eyes and the confidence in her voice had captivated him. The lack of routine and passion in our marriage was Eduardo's greatest weakness, and Camila was exploiting that masterfully. This physical intimacy wasn't just a victory for Camila. It was a personal blow struck directly at me. The fear inside me was slowly taking concrete shape. And that evening, the coffee napkin I found in Eduardo's jacket pocket, it smelled of Camila's perfume. In that moment, it pierced my heart like a dagger. How could an ordinary napkin become such a bitter symbol of betrayal? That scent, Camila's scent, the napkin was tangible proof of my instincts. This was no longer just a suspicion. It had become the bitter taste of truth. Fear had now firmly taken root within me. With a napkin in my hand and 1,000 questions in my mind, my trust in Camila had completely shattered. A professional journalist's strongest weapon was her research skills. Now, I was going to use that weapon to save my own life. I asked my private assistant, Lena, for help and told her everything. My study at home became the hub for digital investigations and phone calls throughout the night. The dim lights, coffee cups, and the reflections from computer screens emphasized my solitude and determination in my search for the truth. It felt like I was in a detective film, bearing the tension and the weight of discovery. As Lena meticulously researched, the weight of the truth settled heavily on my shoulders. At first, Camila's past seemed ordinary until a crucial detail emerged. It turned out that 3 years ago, Camila had interned at a media agency in another city and claimed to have left due to witnessing a harassment scandal. And that agency, it was the very same agency where a high-ranking executive whose unethical behavior I had exposed years ago when I was a guest lecturer had worked. In that moment, I froze. A chain reaction. How could an action I believed was right have indirectly led to such a tragic end for someone else? Lena's in-depth investigation revealed that Camila's sister had taken her own life, losing her career and mental health because of that executive's exposure. Camila's sister, because of me. That's when I understood the secret behind those icy eyes, hidden beneath the mask of innocence. She was an avenging angel, and I was her next target. Furthermore, Lena discovered that Camila had previously targeted another wealthy family using a similar method. First getting close to the son, then having a forbidden affair with the father. This was no coincidence. This was a plan. Everything slowly began to fall into place, revealing a horrifying picture in my mind. This discovery was both shocking and deeply guilt-inducing for me. Secrets hidden in the dark. A luxurious but discreet hotel room in the city, with the city lights sparkling behind the windows in the night. It had become the setting where Eduardo and Camila's forbidden affair reached its peak. The dim lights, a whiskey glass, and the soft Latin music drifting from outside reinforced the scene's sensual yet dangerous atmosphere. Without my knowledge, in secret, Eduardo had fallen into the clutches of that emptiness. The allure of youth had blinded him. Camila had called Eduardo after work, her voice fragile and inviting. Her aim was to completely ensnare Eduardo. She was exploiting his vulnerabilities and loneliness to her advantage.
I'm sorry. I want to talk. I just need a little closeness.
That voice, it was like poison, and Eduardo couldn't resist. While I was waiting for him to call me, to talk to me, he had run into other arms. They agreed to meet in the lobby of a less conspicuous luxury hotel in the city. That night, in the hotel room, Camila shattered Eduardo's hesitation with her words. Just love me for one night. We can forget about it tomorrow. A physical intimacy took place between Eduardo and Camila. For Eduardo, this was perhaps less a betrayal of me and more a weakness against Camila's youth and mysterious charm. Even if he felt remorse, the momentary pleasure and the illusion of regaining his youth pushed him into this infidelity. But for me, it was devastation. This physical intimacy wasn't just a victory for Camila. It was the most personal and destructive attack she had launched against me. That night, not just a marriage, but a family was crumbling. And the most innocent one, Danny, he knew nothing yet. He was going to be the biggest victim of this dirty war. Everything I once thought was love was now part of a poisonous revenge plot.
Just love me for one night, Eduardo. We can forget about it tomorrow.
Instead of shedding tears, I had to make a plan. She had attacked me with her own weapon, and I would respond with mine. Instead of an emotional confrontation, I would use my professional skills. I would wield the power of journalism, of media, and that weapon was in my hands. The media group's production rooms became a strategic center where my intellect shone. The images on the screens and the sound recordings emphasized my composure and determination. I brought in a trusted member of the production team at the channel. I included Camila in a supposed youth and media themed documentary project. That documentary, it was a trap that would make Camila hang herself. Her eyes were so clouded by the lust for revenge that she wouldn't even notice the snare. On camera, with utmost confidence, she uttered sentences that revealed her true intentions against me. It was as if she had won, yet she was preparing her own downfall. That poisonous tone in her voice still rings in my ears.
Some women destroy others' lives to reach the top, just like a killer. I am merely their mirror. I give them what they deserve.
In that moment, I saw the true demon within her. Her words fell on my heart like burning embers. But those words were also the key to my revenge. These confessions showed how her lust for revenge had blinded her and how incredibly confident she was. I saved that recording. I saved it, and I waited. The stage was set. Masks would fall. Secrets would be revealed. In that moment, we would face the true face of revenge. The final act of the play was beginning, and I was making my last moves to avoid becoming the prey in my own trap. It was like a chess match, and I was about to make my final move. I called Camila to one of the channel's empty, dimly lit studios. This was a place for a reckoning, where the tension between two women would reach its peak. The echoing sounds, the falling masks, and the exposed secrets intensified the scene's dramatic weight. We met eyes, Placing the flash drive on the table in front of me, I asked her to tell me her past, why she was here. And in that moment, all masks fell. With hatred on her face, she explained that her sister's suicide was linked to the executive I had exposed. Her words pierced my heart like a knife. Tell me, Camilla. Tell me everything. Who are you? What do you want?
My sister, because of that executive, because of you, she committed suicide. She lost everything, and you made yourself out to be a savior. I tore your family apart. I took your job from you. I took Eduardo from you. And now, I'm going to humiliate you in front of everyone.
I never could have known how that right decision I made years ago would ruin someone else's life. How it would sow such a vast seed of revenge. In that moment, I understood that heroism also has its gray areas. Justice is sometimes just the groundwork for new revenge. For a moment, my entire life was illuminated by this bitter truth. I was in shock. The pain inside me was unbearable. I realized then how utterly consumed by hatred Camila was, and how deeply personal this revenge was for her. Her claim that she had taken Eduardo from me showed her desire to affect my professional life as well, indicating the full scope of her revenge. Although there was no official loss of position yet, I felt my reputation beginning to crumble from within. The woman standing opposite me wasn't just a threat. She was a living mirror of my past. This confrontation also forced me to face my own dark spots. I was going to make my final move. I was going to show Eduardo the truth. That day, Eduardo's office became the center of our family drama and destruction. I found the hotel security camera footage showing Camilla's relationship with Eduardo and played it for him in his office. Eduardo collapsed, his face ashen. His entire charismatic, successful businessman facade crumbled in an instant. He was facing the consequences of his betrayal and weakness. He removed Camilla from both our home and the company, making this decision with great regret and shame. However, this was not a victory for me, but a devastation. Just then, Eduardo's phone rang. On speaker, Danny's furious voice was heard, trembling. The tension, already heightened by the phone call, reached its peak with Danny's echoing voice in the room. He, the most innocent one. He had learned that what he thought was love was a revenge plot, and that his family was full of secrets. Perhaps he'd seen a hint that accidentally became public on Eduardo's social media, or the images I'd sent to Eduardo. The disappointment in his eyes magnified my remorse 1,000-fold. Here's the truth, Edward. Your weakness, her revenge.
No, this can't be.
From the phone speaker, Danny's voice, furious and trembling.
Dad, I saw it. The news online. Camilla with you. How could this be?
Danny, he turned to me, his eyes filled with profound disappointment and anger. His words pierced my soul. Why did you try to protect me? I thought it was love, but you've been at war. How did this dirty war between you blind me so much? He said. I couldn't answer. I just stayed silent, because nothing I could say would ease that pain. I was paying the heaviest price for my own righteousness. Seeing my family fall apart, seeing my son's heart broken, felt heavier than any victory I had achieved. From the initial brilliance, we had now descended into the dark tones of ruin and regret. The salty taste of my tears spread across my lips. I sat alone in the channel's empty, dark studio, facing the makeup mirror. I had turned off the lights. There was no neon glow anymore. Calmly, slowly, I wiped away the heavy stage makeup from my face. My eyes were fixed on my tired, yet wise reflection in the mirror. In that moment, I remembered the desperate anger in the eyes of the executive I had exposed years ago, and the agonizing gaze that had erupted from Camilla's sister's eyes. I bitterly realized how destructive justice can sometimes be, how even good intentions can lead to an unexpected chain reaction. Perhaps the price of innocence is the weight of wisdom. Telling the truth sometimes doesn't save someone. It just destroys someone else. Sometimes, justice is merely the groundwork for new revenge. And the greatest wars are fought in the unending shadows. A single tear slowly streamed down my face, disappearing into my reflection in the mirror. Whose tear was it? Was it my regret, Camilla's pain, or the symbol of Eduardo's loss? I didn't know. I just knew that this war wouldn't end. This story is the tale of a battle I fought between the shadows. Perhaps invisible shadows roam in each of our lives. Noticing them, confronting them, that is true courage. Now, lean back and listen to what these shadows whisper to you.